Well, hi there, everybody. It's today is what, Thursday? One day to Friday, yay! And I am in a town called Independence, Iowa, and I have to run a load to Waterloo, and then I'll turn around and pick up some cheese here in Independence. I'll haul it back to Wisconsin. Hopefully, I'll be done early tomorrow. Go have a fun weekend. I hope all of you will have a fun weekend. Maybe I'll just show you real quick, but there's DJ, and we're just kind of like on this footbridge right here, and I'm not sure what river this is, but you can see the moon up there. It's like I don't know if I can get it or not. It's like actually it's not a full moon, it's a half moon, but it doesn't come in very clearly there. Well, today's video, we're going to talk about I want to talk about something I noticed when I was watching the Netflix show Quarterbacks. I especially enjoyed it. I loved it. I loved seeing Patrick Mahomes. I liked all the behind-the-scenes stuff. But I'm also originally from Minneapolis, Minnesota, and I am a big Vikings fan. Even though I live in Wisconsin and I say Wisconsin hugs all the time, I bleed purple and gold. Okay, I mean, you know, I'm a Skull brother. I love the Vikings, and I just can never cheer for the Packers. I know my company has like 5 Green Bay Packers semi trucks, like each one's different, done up differently. And one time my truck broke down, and they were like, "Well, we need you to run a route, but the only truck we have for you is the Packer truck." They thought they'd be really funny. Put me in the Packer truck, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna go home. I just cannot. It made me sick to my stomach. I could not hop into that Packer truck and drive it. I just couldn't do it. But I have in the past. I have cheered for the Packers when they are not playing my Vikings. But if they're playing my Vikings, I'm all the way. I'm a Vikings fan all the way. So I'm gonna read to you what I wrote. I wrote something on Facebook, and I'm gonna read to you, and then maybe we'll take a look at the guy that actually works for the Minnesota Vikings as their team psychologist. Hopefully, I can find some articles about him, and we'll go from there. Okay. So this is what I wrote about 5 hours ago. I really enjoyed Netflix's Quarterbacks. I even gained a greater appreciation for Kirk Cousins. I didn't realize how he truly is a stand-up guy on and off the field, and what he goes through to get his body ready to take the beating he gets during each and every game. It was fun seeing him explain the thousands of different plays he can run for every down. His mental toughness is undeniably unbelievable. And he wants that Super Bowl so bad, it's what pushes him to keep playing. The guy has made a fortune and can retire any time, but he wants that title. What I found interesting is that the Vikings organization has a full-time doctor psychologist on their staff. And all the players are required to talk to him every week. And he's available at all hours for any player or staff member that needs him. We saw Cousins talking to him quite a bit during the season. And it seemed like Cousins really liked having the psychologist there, and I'm guessing the other players like it as well. Now, we didn't see any psychologists for Mahomes and the Chiefs. I suppose some can say you don't need one when you're winning, or the jokes can be made the Vikings need one to help the players deal with all the playoff losses and never having won a Super Bowl. But it was interesting to see these incredibly talented, badass pro football players needing someone to talk with. I don't know if this is just a Vikings thing with having a psychologist on staff, because we didn't see one in the Falcons organization as well. And that struggling QB probably could have really used one. He wound up quitting on the team when he was benched. My question is, could having a psychologist on a college team or high school team be beneficial? I look back and wonder if I could have achieved more success and had been a better athlete if I had a team psychologist to talk with. There are doubts and things you can't tell your coach, dad, or teammates. It would have been nice to have someone there tell you not to lose focus and keep doing what it was that got you where you are and help you deal with issues on and off the field. I was always told, suck it up, don't be a wuss. They knock you on your ass and work harder so you can knock them on their ass. Growing up, there wasn't any talking about feelings or needing a hug. Tom Hanks once said, there is no crying in baseball. Is he wrong? Maybe it would be good to have a respectful psychologist tell players not to party on a love boat on Lake Minnetonka or knock a traffic cop onto the hood of your car, although mooning a Packer goalpost might get a laugh and a reprieve. I remember it bothered me one time when a teammate pulled my Walkman from out of my jacket and teased me mercilessly for having an ABBA cassette inside it. Can't help it, I love ABBA. I especially like The Winner Takes It All and Dancing Queen. John Lennon once said that's the best song ever written. He would know, and I agree. I still listen to ABBA all these years later, although I would have never admitted listening to it back as a player. I told my teammates it belonged to my sister and she must have borrowed my Walkman. They didn't believe me. How many players have we seen succumb to alcohol and drugs? Are the Vikings setting a trend for the future where teams everywhere at all levels will employ a psychologist? Would Michael Jordan have wanted a team psychologist? Maybe some of the guys that played on the team with Michael Jordan would have loved to have a psychologist so they could have somebody to bitch about Michael Jordan. Well, I'm guessing that when Cousins finally does win the Super Bowl, he'll tell everybody. Here we go. Would Jordan have wanted a team psychologist? Yeah. Obviously, the Vikings spent all this money putting this team together, and so they figure it's only smart to invest some more money into making sure the team's heads are good. Yeah. I guess they look at it as an investment. Well, I'm guessing that when Cousins finally does win the Super Bowl, he'll tell everyone all the work and beatings he took was damn worth it. And maybe he'll even thank his team psychologist as he hoists the Lombardi up in the air while ABBA's The Winner Takes It All plays in the background of our TV screens. Have a great day. So I did some Google searching to try to find the Minnesota Vikings psychologist, and here he is. His name is Brunell Mack. Applying positive psychology through an equity lens to maximize human potential. Brunell Mack team, I don't know how you pronounce it, clinician? Minnesota Vikings, University of St. Thomas, Minnesota Vikings. He's trained as a psychologist. I have extensive experience providing behavioral health assessment and therapy services to children and adults. Throughout my career, I've been particularly interested in delivering person-centered care, tailoring my service to clients' preferences, values, and unique needs. My practice of psychology is guided by principles of resilience and wellness, utilizing each individual's strengths, adaptive capacities, and sources of joy and purpose to facilitate change. My consultation portfolio includes work with primary care clinics to integrate physical and behavioral health services. I also collaborated with school districts to establish school-based behavioral health science and implement programs promoting the social and emotional development of ethnic and cultural minority students. In recent years, I have assumed administrative leadership in roles in public and private sectors. These positions have entailed responsibility for strategic planning, fiscal management, regulatory compliance, quality assurance, stakeholder relations. My experience as a service provider has been invaluable while managing organizational complexities, having familiarity with what is important to and not simply what is important for people receiving services. I am able to develop sound policies and build programs that produce durable benefits. Yeah, here he put this on here. Extraordinary insight perspective on what it takes to meet the demands of the most difficult position in sports, including the commitment Kurt makes to honing his mental performance. Yeah, and that's talking about the Netflix show, Quarterbacks. There's Kurt right there with Patrick Mahomes and Falcons QB. All three of them were on that show. Found an article along the Minnesota Vikings. I don't know their social media page here. I don't know. I've kind of been thumbing through it, and it's a very long article, but it's very interesting. But I thought I'd shorten it here to this section right here, which I found kind of interesting. It talks about what's going on with the psychologist and the Minnesota Vikings. This is Spielman talking. Spielman is the general manager of the Vikings. He talked a lot about his own personal battles and what he saw going on with his family and society as a whole, battling COVID and everything. So this is what he had to say. Whether directly or indirectly, mental illness likely affects every single one of us in some facet or another. And yet for years and years, it's been viewed as a taboo topic. Yeah, no kidding. I mean, you talk about like trying to overcome depression, and all of a sudden I get like 1 million people, bad-mouthing me on a Facebook post, which I did do that. I did talk about that in an earlier video about all the attacks that I got. The more people can understand that it's something that's very common and a lot of people are struggling in different ways, that'll help make it more front and center in the conversation, Miller said. If you are suffering from a mental health standpoint, know that you're not alone and that you should seek help from your support network and from the resources you have available. There is a stigma around mental health, and to the extent that we can all recognize that it's much more common than we're all willing to talk about, that's going to impact people in a positive manner. So you are not alone, okay? And if you or a loved one are struggling, please reach out for support. And then they have a line there for the National Suicide Prevention, 800-273-8255. Okay? So Miller here was talking about his own battles with depression. And he goes, it was really hard. Took me a long time to understand what was happening. And who would come to be diagnosed later, he would become diagnosed with clinical depression. Talking to a therapist proved helpful, as did returning to a routine when school started back up. Okay, and then he says he's experienced multiple bouts with the mental illness throughout his adult life. It's one of those cycles that you just feel like you're hopeless. You don't feel like there's anything that's going to make it better. And all of those things, not being around people and not having your support system, you're being pulled away from it instead of going toward it, which is what you need at that time. So he understood over the years the importance of self-care, from exercise and diet to getting the appropriate amount of sleep and finding time to connect with others. I totally agree with all of that. And he also learned to recognize the signs of potential depressive episodes and taking the steps necessary to persevere through that period of time. I call it finding my happy place. And I have, like 4 or 5 things that I call my happy places. One is church, the other is the gym and exercise, the other one's hiking, the other one is writing or storytelling or doing something on my YouTube channel. And the last one is seeing live bands. And it's important for people to get the resources they need from a medical expert, a psychologist, or a counselor. And I think that was the reason why they decided to hire this clinical psychologist. I think they did it right during it was like, he's been there 4 years now. So they must have hired him during COVID. And then this Brunell Mack, he is made available to the entire staff, from coaching staff to all the players. So yeah, if you haven't seen that Netflix quarterback show, I highly recommend it. It's very, very well done, very good, very entertaining. And I suppose I am in Wisconsin. My channel's called Wisconsin Hugs, but I should probably end this particular episode, instead of saying Wisconsin Hugs, I should probably say Skull Hugs.